welcome to our very first in-person Bobbin Around. We're on the road. We're here in Detroit. We're so excited. We are your hosts, Xochil and Michael, and we are here with Lionel from ISAIC. And we're here actually for the ISAIC Honors taking place in just a couple short hours. So
yeah, we're excited for it. SPESA is grateful to be able to support the ISAIC Honors. You got a great group of candidates, and we're pretty excited to be a part of it. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty amazing show.
Happy to have both of you here in Detroit, and we're happy to have SPESA as a co-conspirator on this, right? So we're looking forward to a good night of celebrating the people that are doing really good job for our industry, and at the same time, some drinks.
That is, I think, pretty much part of it's in the SPESA bylaws. Is you celebrate the champions of the industry, and then you drink a little bit.
I know that. I'm on your board.
Exactly. You had to sign.
A recent addition to the SPESA
board.
Right.
Newest addition to the board. So we're grateful to have you on the SPESA board as well. But, it's gonna be a good evening, and then I think that there's a lot of good that can come out of ISAIC Honors, and people are excited about Detroit. So yeah, it's hard to complain about.
It's great to promote the Midwest, right? Chicago, Detroit, Columbus last week.
Yeah, I'll claim Columbus for now.
Oh my gosh.
I might be able to claim that for another week.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very recent history.
Exactly.
So we're actually in a new space ISAIC has just moved into. So last year, actually, Amber and I came to the ISAIC Honors to attend as guests, and you guys were starting this move process. So she and I got to preview the space. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh man, this has been probably a 2 or 3 year process. So last year is when we finally had found a spot that made sense both financially and location wise, right? Like our previous location where we've lived up to for the last 5-6 years. It was in the same building as the Carhartt retail store. So having the opportunity to be with them as a big sponsor of the work that we were doing, it's like moving from your parents' basement and into your new home, right? So moving now to college.
But it's because you outgrew the space, not because they kicked you out.
Yeah.
I think there's a pretty definitive difference. So
it was like time. It was like Jeff Bezos. He started on his garage, right?
And you still have a good.
I mean, so did Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. So I mean, I'm just saying,
We're looking ahead to this, but moving College for Creative Studies University has a really nice fashion program here in Detroit. It's a area where both the Ballet family, for owners of Carhartt, the Gilbert Family Foundation, they have invested a lot into this university and this area of Detroit. So being a part of the revival of Detroit, the revival of an industry, we're pretty excited. So 3 years on the making. We were excited that this space opened up and that it was a good fit for both CCS and ISAIC. And it provides us with double the space that we had in the previous spot. So we're really excited about what is coming up.
Cool. You're already working to fill it all.
We might run out of space in less than 3 years.
Again, I think that's a problem that a lot of people would take and be happy with. So it's the challenge for an industrial engineer to solve.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of industrial engineers, let's talk about you.
Yeah.
All right, Lionel, tell us, how did you get your start in the industry? And as I ask all of our guests, were you born into it or tricked into it? Because you're stuck with us now. You're not escaping. So who do you have to thank or blame?
So my backstory is very interesting because my grandfather owned seafood restaurants. So my background was supply chain management. Our restaurant was right on the beach. So his model was that he wanted fresh fruit on the table all the time. So he developed relationship with the fishermen. We would come in very early, donuts, coffee, like we developed the relationships with our partners, and we would get fresh, good fish all the time. Lobster, crabs, like the business was really good and it was focused on quality, right? So that was really since I was 5 years old, that was really implemented on my mindset. The product that we offer to our customers, it need to be of the top quality. And the way that you do that is in partnership with your suppliers, your your brands, your partners, and your customers too, right? So being born in that type of environment, when I went to college in 2004, I went to college for accounting and finance. So that's my college degree. No fashion, no engineering. It was accounting and finance. And my grandfather always told me, like, why are you going to college? Just stay here working for me. Like, you can take the restaurants. At that time, he had like 3 restaurants.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, we never know what's going to happen, right? So I went to college, and then 2008 happens. And I'm happy I went to college and I got an education in business administration, because even though we went from 3 restaurants to 1 restaurant, I was involved in the family business. It also gave me the opportunity to just explore what was out there and what was outside of just the restaurant business. So when I graduated college, I had left my curriculum vitae, my resume, in the placement office of my college. And there was a company called Shoreback Industries in Guanica, Puerto Rico. And their whole management team had graduated from the same college that I went to. So I got called for an accounting and IT or systems position to interview for the position. So when I went there was a lot of my fellow students. We graduated at the same time. I knew there was one guy that really fit the position very well. So I didn't think I was going to get the position. And after interviewing a couple of times, I received a call that I did not get the position, but that there was this warehouse management position that they were going to open and that they thought I was a good fit. And Steve Crandall, he was the CFO of the company at that time. He's the one that gave me the opportunity. And so he tricked me. He told me, his words were...
They tried to give you an out.
Yeah, they
brought
gave
you
me an
back in.
out. But his words, I still remember his words to this date. You manage seafood, which expires. You had to do fresh food. So you didn't want to freeze your product. Here, it's never going to expire. Like, this is going to be an easy supply chain management job.
So
And that was the
yes, last words.
Yes. So that was really the way that I got into Shoreback Industries, a really good company in terms of skill set and processes. We're ISO certified. We really have good standards and good skilled. At that time, where I felt the disconnect was in how we treated people. We had a pool of employees that if we lost one, we would get another one in. And I really wanted to think about the future of an organization and how we onboarded people and how we developed skills. So after that, I did my master's degree while I was working in Shoreback. And then I wanted something a little bit different. So that's how I found Peckham.
Yep.
And Peckham was a complete different monster. It was huge. We had like 500 employees in Puerto Rico. We had about 600 employees in Peckham, but it was all about people. It was how do we create standards that support people and get them to meet the same standards as everyone else, right? So that was a whole different approach. I really appreciated the time that I spent there because it taught me when I was young, I was dumb. I was book smart, but I learned a lot in the production floor from Shoreback. So they gave me a lot of knowledge that I knew it was going to be very valuable in the future. That's when I started to learn about lean manufacturing, Toyota Production Systems. And then when I moved to Peckham, I finished at Shoreback as a assistant general manager. I took a position as a production scheduler in Peckham, knowing that there was opportunity for growth. And in 7 years, I switched positions like 5 times. So I did everything from scheduling and purchasing to running the cutting room, plant management, and business development there. So I really got a chance to do a lot and through how to help people, right? It was an organization that definitely puts people first. And then when ISAIC appeared in the map, it was kind of the perfect place to put those 2 things together. So the people aspect, the nonprofit organization, how do we bring tools to support people to meet the standards by providing them with the right tools and the right training, at the same way that you had to be competitive. Peckham had obviously the government set aside contracts that were very specific to them. But if we wanted to bring more than just military, we needed more than just those contracts. So that's where ISAIC came in, and I've been at ISAIC 4 years now.
Nice. Well, I mean, at Pecker, like that's one of the biggest challenges that a lot of manufacturers are dealing with. Of like, if you do government contracts, you only do government contracts. But then, if you lose that contract,
Yeah.
there's a lot of trouble. So getting that diversification it's something that I've been preaching for a very long time. It's not easy, as I'm sure you already know.
Well, and I think we've seen in the news for the last couple of times. Obviously, Goodwill of South Florida is getting into the commercial business. Beckham has that collaboration with Walmart and Onspun. So we're seeing leaders backing the vision. Organizations like ISAIC, what we want is to be a partner to support in that process. That we don't want organizations to feel they're alone in this process, that there's someone that can be there for you to help you figure it out. We have an organization here in Detroit called Soft Goods Detroit, makes top quality sweatshirts like branded for Chinola, Ford. They sell a bunch to customers in Japan. They have a big market back there. And they started in their garage making sweatshirts, not knowing how to run a sewing machine, right? And they are like, we help them all the time. Like sometimes we have to charge them for our work because we still need to pay for our bills. But when it's something that is as basic as what is the right type of equipment to buy, like, am I using it the right way? Like we know that if the business is good for people like soft goods, the business is good for everyone. So we're really, really here to support the industry as a whole. Yeah. That's why we wanted to be a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, and all the companies that you mentioned, I think one of the core components is that they care about the people. You see that a lot in the companies that are being successful. We had our Advancements in Manufacturing Technology conference just last week, and the title just screams robots, but the entire conference was based around people of like, what is the integration of technology and people, and if you're trying to replace somebody, you're not gonna. You're going to get replaced. So if you can find a way to make people and machines work, then you can be successful.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, especially in this industry, there's a lot of work, right? So even with automation, even with robotics, even with the use of AI, we have a labor shortage. So if you can maximize throughput and you can have less resources, even at the office level, then if you, and this is a conversation that I had with the Carhartt team in the engineering department, if you need 5 engineers, but you use AI tools and you only need 5 for everything, rather than now I need 7 because we're growing, or 8 because we're growing, or right now you have 3 and you don't find 2 right engineers to join your team because of the locations being in Kentucky and Tennessee in some towns that are pretty small, then that is the real reason why AI can support, where automation can support, is really to make people more efficient, to achieve more, rather than to remove them from the production floor. So that's what I'm excited about.
It's awesome. I love some of the AI tools that you guys are using in the space already. And actually, I remember going back to the Detroit Advancements in Manufacturing. That's where I was introduced kind of to ISAIC. Was it 3 years ago?
3 or 4.
4 years ago?
It's somewhere between 3 and 9.
Okay.
That's where my memory works. It was after the before times.
It had to be less than 4 because I've been at ISAIC for 4 years.
Okay.
So it had to be either 4 or 3.
You and Alex and John, of course, yes. But some of the cool things like the visualization to see like flaws in the material or flaws in the construction of beanies. Variant was also another speaker, and I know do you still work with that?
Yeah, so they have been doing a lot of advancements. We have still not really used their tool in our facility. Most of the work that we do, like we did a collaboration with CCS, and it was more like we send them files and then send them back to us. But the type of way that you're using AI to really structure that need engineer and then being able to fast track the delivery of product, it's really, again, ways that you want to use AI. It's workforce that is barely available anymore, and it's a tool that is going to act faster. So if you can really streamline that process of creating that need engineering, then you actually get product made when needed, rather than make a bunch overseas and then
Yeah.
throw it on the trash whenever you don't sell it, right? So
Exactly.
they're doing really good job, but we haven't used their software yet.
So ISAIC's sort of known for the sewing training. What cohort number are you guys on now?
Oh man, I believe it's number 27 this
Okay.
summer.
Oh,
So
wow.
we've done
amazing.
26.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And that's our internal cohorts, because we have licensed our program. I think it's either it fluctuates between 11 and 8 states. But in each, I think outside of ISAIC, it's more like 200 people served too. So between Arizona, Fabric Incubator, Joey in Columbus is going to be implementing our training there. So that fundamentals of industrial sewing and production has served people in Detroit and outside of Detroit, and people that want to become employees in industrial sewing, as well as entrepreneurs. Having people that just want to know how to make their products better and understand how to speak to the factories, that's something that, even though the program was not really built for that,
Yeah.
it has brought value to entrepreneurs.
So dig into that, like, expose on ISAIC a little bit more of, what is the mission? How are you, what brought in these training programs? Why did you join ISAIC? I mean, it
And what
was,
attracted you?
you downsized from like the scale of things, but you might have upsized in the mission.
Yeah. So I think, how do I put it, outside of being just crazy?
I mean, that's a decent enough answer.
Yeah.
We're a little crazy.
So I think, and it's funny because obviously me and my wife talk about this all the time. Like, Peckham is a 45-year company that it's established, that had everything, big company. So we had a lot going on, and then we came to ISAIC that is barely 5-6 years old, and at that moment it was 2 years old.
Right.
So I was taking a big leap, but one of the things that I believed on is that this industry could do it better. And that we really, based on what I learned in Shorebark and in Peckham, that there was more than just the military contracts, that there was really an opportunity to build an industry that could do it better and different. That I didn't really, in my mindset, I'm never going to compete against China. I'm never going to compete against the cheapest needle. And I'm a global supply chain person. I still think that there's economies around the world that depend on their manufacturing to be able to get out of poverty, right? To grow in domestic manufacturing and to go on economic developments, so people can, there's shared rewards for everyone, right? But if you can bring 5 to 10% of that manufacturing back to the US, close to the customer, that would be valuable to our industry too. So my mindset has always been, how do we bring more value to the brands rather than trying to compete against the same value, right? So I will look at decorations, I look at lean manufacturing automation opportunities. How do we create a flexible workshop? We know that putting one person to do one task usually brings efficiency with it. Well, we're challenging that. We want to train everyone on 3 or 4 different steps. We want to train our operators in single-ply laser cutting machine or multi-ply cutting machine. Because if the future of manufacturing in the United States is going to be in microfactories, then you need people that are versatile, right? That they can move. If someone is absent in a 30-person factory, that's a higher percentage than if one person is absent in a 100% factory, right? So we need that flexibility and we need that understanding. And the reality was that change is difficult for people. In our factory, we're pretty small, but we have people with 30 years of experience. We have people with no experience, right? And sometimes it's easy to teach people that have never done something to achieve what you want. And then you have the 30-year-old experienced people. And we appreciate that, because at the end of the day, if we do our work right, we get those that have been doing this for a while to see the value on change. And then we can really implement it at factories that have more people that think that way, right? Our mindset is that if you communicate well And communication is not telling people what you're doing. It's really getting them to understand why is it important for them and for the company that people will accept the change. And that's really where we focus on exchange management. It's how do we do things that they operator value. Because if they value the work that they're doing, then your factory is going to be good. So that's how I landed at ISAIC. I was crazy, and I saw a bigger vision to this industry that was not only military garments, that it was really an opportunity to bring value to other brands and compete on other areas of value.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it's proving to be correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love, the way that ISAIC is going about it. I mean, I spent, the first, I guess, 15 years of my career of like, we need more training programs, whether it's for sewing machine mechanics or operators. But I mean, it took me about 15 years to learn that there is no universal answer. Like, you cannot create a universal training program because every community is different. And we've seen that kind of flush out over the last decade. If you go back 15 years ago, you had Manufacturing Solutions Center in North Carolina. That's about it. But now, in the last 10 years, you've had ISAIC and So Valley and,
Industrial Commons,
Industrial Commons and Columbus Fashion Alliance. So you've had all these, incubators or institutes pop up individually of each other. Like, some people didn't know that the other one existed. But now you're seeing ISAIC, they're all starting to implement, ISAIC's training program. So you have the community network with the universal training program. I'm like, this is what we've been needing for the last 20 years. And it's starting to come to fruition. So it's exciting to see all these communities come together, but then all of these creating a new community of the communities.
But I think part of the work that I've been doing at ISAIC that is really resonating with people that we partner with is that when you look at, when you think about Toyota, you think about lean manufacturing, one-piece flow, SIPOC, PDCAs, right? And those are really good tools. But if you don't have the right culture, you cannot implement. And that is really where we focus on. So our focus is not really how do we framework everything very beautiful to put on a presentation and then leave it there, right? Our approach is really on the production floor. Like, I have a 25-year-old supervisor with a fashion bachelor's degree, knows nothing about manufacturing. She did a little bit of manufacturing in Florida for 1 year, and we need to develop her skills. She has the learning interest. We need to develop the skills for her to be able to push production out in a way that it's people first, right? So when we think about Toyota and you really think about their culture, it's not about one-piece flow lean manufacturing, it's about thinking operators. And if you create a culture that people see that their ideas are valued, even if they don't produce the fastest change, you build a culture. And that is what we when we talk with people and we show them what we're doing, like I've talked with you and probably you about Kenda, right? Mm-hmm. We record the video, we use an AI tool to analyze the cycle times. In a regular factory, the first question that I got is, how do you get people to record them? Because here they don't want to be recorded. And I'm like, well, I told people that what I was doing, I told people why this was valuable to them, and I showed them after the fact that this was a tool to make them better, not to reprimand them. If I'm taking that video, going to HR, and then doing a disciplinary action to say you're not meeting your target, then that is going to create that gossip in your factory floor. But if I show a video and I have an example. We had a person that was doing the operation to attach the brand label in the Carhartt beanie. I'm doing the presentation of the analysis that we had done, and we had said that the cycle time for that operation was 16 seconds. This operator was sitting on this side, and I saw him roll his eyes. And I noticed that. And I'm like, hey, why did you roll your eyes? And he's like, well, more like 20 or 25 seconds. And I'm like, he pulled up the video. And it was him doing it in 14 seconds. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're doing it faster than the cycle. We looked at you. We saw what you did. We took some information for how you're doing it that we're going to use to set the standard. And now we can train people on the way that you do it so that everyone is be able to hit that standard. So, but people don't know it. They just see a efficiency number. And he sometimes saw that his efficiency was 120%, but he didn't know what 120% meant.
Right.
He saw it on that video. He saw the analysis. He saw that why the standard was important and who were going to use him as a subject matter expert to develop the skills on other people. That really changed the culture of a company. Not if you sit and tell people you need to hit this standard and go back to your office and just wait for that to happen. And then whenever they don't hit it, you go back and you're like coaching because you're not hitting your standard, variable because you're not hitting your standard, then you're setting yourself for failure. That's what we believe on. Sometimes, and I think this is where it connects with SPESA Text Process 2023. We did a panel with Charlie Merrow.
Okay, yep.
And ISAIC. And what was it called? You remember?
Oh gosh.
Training takes time.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, that would have been
22?
No, that was
23?
recently.
That was the previous
25.
one to this one. Because I attended
it was 23.
it was
23.
Yeah, it was.
So
Like
training
22 or 20. No, 20.
we did the demo.
Yeah.
So it tells you that sometimes, and this is what really Toyota teaches you. You win with hits, not with home runs. So you hit, you put people on base,
I like
you
it.
score, right? So you take the small wins, you celebrate those small wins until you achieve the big, like, and we've taken, like, there was a task that we took from 30 seconds to 9 seconds.
Yeah.
But we didn't do it overnight. It took us some time to get there. And I remember when I told Jen, I'm going to stop this production line. I'm going to fix the problem from its root cause. I thought I was going to lose my job. I love you, Jen. I almost lost my job at that moment. We missed our shipping of that month, but we fixed the problem. We haven't missed a shipment since that month for that specific reason, because we trained people the right way. We took a loss on that month. But after that, we created that we're not going to miss this shipment for this specific issue ever again. Only one operator knowing how to do it to standard is not an option.
Yeah.
And we need to be flexible. So that is really, sometimes we try to take the quick wins, but we don't think about the future.
How do you cultivate that within an operator? Is that part of the training program? Like you mentioned, a thinking employee versus just a cog in the machine, as lots of people like to think of a factory.
So,
But you want them to think and you want them to feel confident and comfortable coming forward with their idea.
So there's a couple of things that you need to do, and it really starts with leadership. If you are someone that is always in your office, people do, and this is something that happens too. If people see you only when things go bad, you're creating the wrong culture. So you need to be able to go to the production floor and celebrate those wins. And I can tell you, I'm probably the worst at celebrating small wins, because as soon as we hit a goal, I'm already thinking about the next one. So I need to live by that standard too. But I don't go to the production floor only when things go bad. I really go there and I say like, hey, you're doing a really good job. The other thing is when something is important to me. We implemented something that saved us a couple of seconds too, where the same air of the sewing machine will pick up a label one by one, because people struggle to split the labels when they have them on stacks. So that system will give them one that reduces the cycle by 4 seconds. When we started implementing it, we trained a new operator that was an apprentice, and she always forgot to open the air buff for the thing to work. So I noticed that it was important to me. Every morning at 7 a.m., the first stop that I made was at her station. For 2 weeks, sometimes she forgot it, sometimes she remembered. After 2 weeks, she remembered every day. Why was that important? Because she knew it was important to me. If I walk by that operation and I don't say anything to the operator, then it's not valuable to them because it's not valuable to me. So it starts with leadership. You need to be consistent. You need to create unbiased, right? If you have a really good operator, you want to promote that, but you also want to promote the small wins.
Yeah.
And when the operator that is really good does something bad, you have to get to it. Like you cannot be like, well, they're my best operator. I need to be flexible. I don't want to boost them. No. you have to set the standard that everyone follows. And that one of our best operators is the standard to everyone. So she has a big responsibility to make sure that she's always on time, that she's showing how to do things better, because our goals are not individual, our goals are line-based. So if the line achieves the goal, we are all good. If the line doesn't achieve our goal, then everyone needs to figure out how to do it. So that's really where we see successful. Leadership needs to support the operator to achieve those, and then you need to be able to create a culture where, and now, it needs to be very careful because ideas flow, right?
Right.
You need to figure out a way to identify which ones are better and which ones might bring more value to the current operations that you have. What do you do with the ones that might be good ideas that we don't really have time to tackle everything at the same time? So we set up that we don't have more than 2 projects at a time. And we really focus on those 2 projects, and then we move into the next one when we finish the previous one. And then we give full attention, we really implement it, we get the feedback so we make our next processes better. But it takes commitment. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Not everyone wants to do that, right?
And I mean, I love that as a whole concept. I still remember I was in the factory a couple months back, and they had a director of continuous improvement. It's like that's not a mindset that you see in a lot of factories, but it's so important. Of like, it's not about fixing all the mistakes. It's like, okay, if we've got it 100% efficiency or 120 or whatever you set the metric at. What little things, what steps can we make? But then it always comes back to culture. Like, if you have one person that's like, okay, this needs to get better, then you're just moving the goalpost, and people hate when you just move the goalpost. But if you include everybody of, okay, how can we get a little bit better every day? Then you have that right culture and that right mentality.
And I think we have the interesting thing about the United States as an industry is that we have a lot of knowledge in the educational institutions when we're talking about fibers and we're talking about fabric, but we really don't have the leadership knowledge at the factory floor, right? Like, you barely find engineers that are in the United States that didn't come from somewhere else and are working on these factories, right? Like, Carhartt has a really good engineer that she came from Mexico. And there's value to the knowledge. The big thing is, how do you use that knowledge for a different culture, for a different approach, for a different industry, right? And one of the things that we like to do is sharing that factory knowledge. That's where we see the value. North Carolina has all of the textile and fiber stuff, like technical design. Colleges have technical design stuff. Pattern making. We want to promote pattern making within our operators because some of them like to do their own stuff, but that's not where we benefit, right? We provide them with tools so that they can do their own things, but where we excel is in the factory floor. How do we support lean manufacturing culture based on operator led improvements? And the reality is that most of the factories that I visited, what they lack is the culture and the leadership. If you see most of the operators that are working in the factories, they are there because they care about the company, they care about the mission of the organization. I don't remember, this was before I joined ISAIC. I went to a factory in Georgia that I cannot remember the name for it. And it was a company that was making military garments, and they were mostly veteran hires.
Yeah.
They knew what they were making.
Yep.
And who was the customer that was going to get it,
And
right?
why it was important.
And that was very valuable to them. They barely talked about how much they were making. They were talking about the product that we're making. The Carhartt factories in Kentucky and Tennessee, the same.
Yep.
They have an operator pool that is really the line between who they are and what Carhartt as an organization is very thin.
Yeah.
You can see that they enjoy being at Carhartt. What they were is like, in this environment of change, is very difficult for everyone to be in the same page. So Carhartt has identified that as one of their skills that they need to develop. So we're partnering with them on how do we use what we know and how we work with the operators to support their leadership team so that they can implement that culture of continuous improvement. Because they have engineers, Carhartt has the best of the best out there. But how do you take that knowledge and really streamline through the process so that the operators are engaged in continuous improvement? That's where we feel ourselves are valuable to the industry.
Yeah, I mean, with Carhartt, like, well, you know, we don't want to brag about him too much, but you know, we had Todd Corley, who another title that I love is the chief people and impact officer. But like, yeah, I mean, Carhartt, like they're making industrial garments, so you have people who understand the environment that these garments are meant to be used in.
Yeah.
So it definitely has that connection of the manufacturer and the consumer up and down the supply chain.
And one of the things that obviously Todd, he's a part of the community, so we talk a lot and we appreciate all of the work that Carhartt is doing for not just our industry, but for the trades as a whole, right? And one of the things that is they invest in going to the construction sites, to the workplaces, to the factories, to hear the people that wear their stuff to make a better product, because they know that if they make a good product, people are going to buy it. And they're thinking all the time about how to bring more value to the people. They're not building clothing for us to wear. If we wear it, that's a plus to them. They're thinking about the real customer, farmers, the tradesmen, the factory workers. And that is something that you don't see a lot out there. So they set the standard.
And I think even Todd was, you know, mentioning when he was at a university and, you know, seeing a bunch of Carhartt products, he's like, no, we didn't make it to be worn like that, but you do you. Like, I think it's kind of the same thing that happened, you know, with North Face back in the day of like, it was made for people climbing Everest, but then because it was made, you know, people, the amateur climbers, and then
if you have a good product, a good quality product that resonates with the people, especially like in Detroit, you have all of these creative people that will buy thrift store Carhartt, make it their own, right? So all of those things give an opportunity for people to develop. Filson in Seattle, they make $700 wool jackets that were for fishermen in Alaska. And people buy those things, right? So it's very interesting, but it goes back to the essence of what you're doing. The company has a right mission, and they don't try to go around that mission. They really focus on what their mission is, and whatever comes through the side is a support. So same thing for ISAIC. We stick to our mission. That's why sometimes it's very difficult for us, because we're not helping people with disabilities. We're not helping people or youth services, right? We're really focused on factory support and how do we connect the brands, the innovators, and the manufacturers, which is not really an easy thing to sell. But that's why we then have our factory floor where we can diversify some revenue. We offer training in-house. We offer workshops for entrepreneurs. So we try to, so every training that we provide to the community in Detroit is something that we've trained our operators on. So if they learn how to do it, and that is a good workshop, we use the time and investment that we developed that training for, and then we use it to support the community. So we find ways to take what we do naturally and expand so that we can support other people, but they're not our target. I'm not an incubator for entrepreneurs. I'm a person that thinks about how to make product.
No, it's good to know what your lane is and stick in it, and it's good that you can help on the side of that without detracting from the goal.
Yeah, it's like the 80-20 rule. 80% of our time is very focused in our mission, and then the 20% is how you really work around some opportunities that present yourself. Like even at one point, we were training people for automotive. They provided us with a machine. They took our FISA training. Then they took 1 week on their specific equipment. And then they had to go to their apprenticeship program because that company had an apprenticeship program, right? But they didn't want to hire people without any sewing experience. So they partnered with us to create a little bit of a pipeline. And we were not automotive specifically, but we're in Detroit. We needed to help the automotive industry.
Of course, you can't ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to highlight anything happening tonight or any of the people?
So I'm very happy about the event, presenting our new space, really focusing on what the future of ISAIC is going to be and the partners that we have today here. I'm very happy about everyone that is coming. We have a really great pool of people, nominees like you, awardees. So we are very excited about what is coming out there. Having people like Eduardo Dominguez from Goodwill of South Florida showcase the work that he's doing for people and industry. Like when you talk about hiring people with disabilities and barriers of employment to make and to go through change, that's not an easy task,
Yeah.
right? And the way that he and his team has taken it from just really sewing to really building a smart factory, using data to make continuous improvement and not fall behind on supporting people, that is really important. Obviously, everything that is happening in our industry from design, education, the teams in Columbus Fashion Alliance. I think we have like 6 of them coming tonight.
Oh,
They're always fun.
nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's so many good things. So
Yeah.
Valley, I had so many good things happening for the industry in the Midwest that I'm excited about. And hopefully we can push this industry for the future of manufacturing in the United States. Again, not try to beat the price of our competitors outside of the US, but really bringing more value to the partners. Low rate batch
Yep.
manufacturing for entrepreneurs that at least have a design or a tech pack out there, right? So those are really the support. And talking about Yogi and his team, we're looking forward to see what he does, because
Yeah.
they've one of the groups that we really want to share knowledge with is with them. Like hopefully all of the mistakes that we've done in the last 6 years, they don't have to go through them. And they really, oh yeah, for us, it's like if he can go what we did in 6 years, he can do it in 3. For me, that's a win.
Yeah.
Because in reality, again, we need more people. We need more regions that have the ability to support the people and to bring youth into an industry that really doesn't care about it. So I'm excited about their
We need
programs
that
and what they're
excitement, the youth excitement.
Yes.
Factory is fun. It's not.
Factories are cool.
Yes.
It's not. Yeah.
There's incredible engineering challenges that people are like, no, it's dark, dangerous, and dirty.
All I tell people, if you like solving problems, this is the industry for you.
Yeah.
You get addicted.
But I love that you brought up Eduardo, because I guess this comes out after Isaac, so I can give away my introduction speech. But like his story is what excites me about ISAIC Honors. Like it does reward and award the people who aren't always going to be seen in the big award shows or the big designers. But like Eduardo, like yeah, he's an industrial engineer, and so yeah, usually when you see awards, it's the athlete that's endorsing the product or the designer that's creating it.
Designer. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the behind the scenes.
It's not the guy that's like set the line to make the product.
They get all of the recognition, which they it's good that we promote the organizations. But I think where people like him, people like the other nominees in general, because even the pool of nominees this year was really, really exciting, is that they are thinking outside the box.
Yes.
They're not taking no as an answer.
Yep.
And they are challenging themselves every day through information, through innovation, through automation, but really, really thinking outside of the box, which is a refresher for this industry. Always, I love talking to people that have been doing this for a while, but a lot of the times the butting heads is, well, this is the way that we do things, right? And I really think, especially being Toyota, is that that's one of the worst issues with continuous improvement. Once you set yourself to think that we have tried that before, or that's the way that we do things, that completely derails of continuous improvement and innovation. So I hate those answers.
Yes.
So whenever you come to me with an answer that sounds like that, we're gonna have a heavy discussion.
I could not agree more.
That's why.
Yeah, always ask why.
Like, especially even from a geographic perspective, like what excites me about places like Detroit and Columbus, aside from your traditional, this is going to get me in trouble with some garbentos, but some of the traditional, places that are, it's like y'all have history without the historical baggage. In certain areas, there's historical baggage of like, this is the way it's always been done. There's places like Detroit and Columbus that they have history in this industry, and isn't as big as it was, but like they're not like stuck in their way of thinking. So it excites me.
And I think, long story short, we need the history.
Yeah.
We need the knowledge, right? As leaders, we need to be able to humble ourselves when things change. If you're not able to take new information and change your thought process that might have been right at some point in your career, and then take that new information available and make a new decision based on it, that's where the real struggle is, because it's not knowledge. Frank Henderson has been in the industry for what, 50 years? That guy is still challenging himself
Yep.
all the time, right? So it's not about the knowledge, it's about the humility of knowing that things change over time, and that I, as a leader, need to be able to analyze and critically think when information is provided to me that might challenge my assumption. If I have, and that's why Toyota is good. Hypothesis, prove my hypothesis. If the hypothesis is correct, implement a new standard. If the hypothesis was wrong, go back and repeat the cycle, right? So it's always challenging yourself every time. And to be fair, our team does this all the time. Whenever I go to someone and I say, why are you doing that way? That's how you train me to do it. I'm like, that's not the answer that I want. Even if I train you to do it one way, question yourself all the time, because that's how hits happen.
Yeah.
If we're trying always to find a way to improve 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, we're never going to improve what we're currently doing. But if we can improve 1 second, better material, even if the yield is by 2% better usage, right? Those are always things that over time improve. And we don't see it today because it might be a small margin, but in the long term, in the year, in the 5 years, in the 10 years, those are big differences.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be taking. I now need somebody to remake Moneyball about our industry. I might be the only person that watches that.
Oh yeah.
But I love that mentality of
In the office, when I started at ISAIC, again, my framework and my approach is to support making things efficient everywhere, right? So I remember our HR person, I love her. She was working on spreadsheets and she was inputting data manually and then creating a new tab and copying and paste and putting stuff in this. I'm like, have you ever heard about VLOOKUPs? She didn't know about VLOOKUPs. She has been working in HR for like 25 years. And when she started working, that was not a thing for her, right? So I taught her how to do a VLOOKUP. She was so thankful that I saved her like 2 hours of work. I'm like, see, so that is really, it's thinking, asking ourselves why we do stuff all the time, just to challenge ourselves. How do I make it better? How can I make more for my team? Because if I have time to develop people, that comes at a cost, right? If I'm not making myself more efficient.
And what can you do that's more valuable with that same time? So.
Yeah, and my time, people like my supervisor, 25-year-old supervisor, she knows my time is valuable. So when she sees me sitting down by her, showing her how to read information in our MES system, how to go into the production floor and identify problems, she appreciates that because she knows that we need to grow the business, we need to support partners externally, but she knows that our internal factory is important too. So showing the face is really valuable to everyone in the team.
So after you go home tonight and you're done with ISAIC Honors and you get to rest for 50 or 60 minutes. So what excites you about the next year at ISAIC?
So growth of manufacturing. We have a program called an employee business unit that we're expecting within the next year to grow from 8 operators to about 30 operators. I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about the collaborations that we have externally with brands that I'm not able to mention yet, but there's a lot of good stuff happening with brands that are committed to finding ways to bring value to manufacturing in the United States. I'm excited about changes in the industry, changes in innovation, in systems, and in the government structure of how we support this industry through national institutes like ARM and all of those things, right? So I'm very excited about where we're headed. I think if there's a time to do right for the industry, where we can bring younger generations to see the value of doing things different without losing the history of how things were done. This next year it's going to be very important in terms of showcasing that. And I think ISAIC and partners that are in the industry are on the same page on that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We
It's
got a
fun.
party to get
That's
to.
right. Let's go celebrate. get to shake the hand of our guest for the first time ever.
First time.